Hello, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, we're going to be discussing how to create a multi-part item for an item bank assessment. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the box in the top right corner and hit create, and we're going to create our item. So we're actually in the assessment we're utilizing for our professional development, which is moving beyond multiple choice. So we're going to go to the create button. We're going to hit create items, and we're going to name it something very simple. But first thing we're going to do is look at where we're creating this item. So when we actually publish the item, we're doing it in my workspace, and that's where you should be publishing your items. If you have more than one item bank, which I have several, I could choose district workspace or other item PLCs, but in our particular case, we're going to stick in my workspace. You're going to name the item something simple, which in our case is going to be a multi-part. We're just going to name it something simple. Sorry about that. And we're going to pick our subject area, which we're going to pick math. And we're going to pick a grade level. And you have to pick a grade level. We're going to pick third grade for this one. And of course, you're going to come down to the item type, and you're going to pick which item type it is. So in our case, we're going to pick multi-part. Now you'll see an O and a P next to it, which means simply that you could administer this online or on paper. For our sake today, we're just going to click this, and we'll get to that point here in a second. So our multi-part online or on paper, our labels, we can pick whatever labels we want as far as decimals or alpha. I usually stick with alpha because that's what students are used to. We're not going to worry about the alternative grouping method. We're going to leave it alone. The pilot item is interesting because you can treat specific items as pilot items, which simply means that you are determining whether you feel it's an effective question or not. And the pilot items won't count toward if you hit yes and toggle it to yes, they won't count toward the overall score of the student. The passage, linking a passage, we're not linking a passage. We're not including the student instructions or teacher instructions because that'll be within the assessment itself. This part right here, partial credit, in a multi-part question, when you don't toggle this and you're not giving partial credit, that simply means the student could get, let's say, part A correct, but get part B incorrect and still get some credit on part A because they got at least part of the question correct. So that's an important thing to highlight when you're actually creating this. So if you want the student to get partial credit on a two-part question, then you're going to want to toggle that switch to yes. The question type that we're going to do and utilize within, and you can do different types of questions for each part. But for our purposes, we're going to stick with multiple choice today. You can toggle and look at the other item types. If you do have a constructed response or you want to do different responses within a two-part question, you're more than welcome to do that. But for our purposes today, we're going to stick with a multiple choice. So part A, we're going to pick multiple choice. Once again, you'll have instructions within your assessment, so you can certainly toggle that switch and type specific instructions to that particular part if you'd like. You're more than welcome to do that. But for our purposes today, we're going to look at the question. And the question for the first part is going to be, how many sides does a rhombus have? This question right here, because we did mention we're going to do partial credit and we're going to make this overall question worth 1 point. Half of 1 is 0.5. That's good math. Right here, you can pick how many answer choices you want. If you want 4, the types of answer choices, so you can see that there. So if you change the number of choices, that'll change down here. Answer format, you can put it vertically, you can put it horizontally, you can stack it. I usually leave it on the default of vertical. Once you've done that, you are going to enter your answer choices. How many sides does a rhombus have? So you start putting your choices in. You're going to select the correct answer, which is 4. Once we've done that, you don't want to hit next because you haven't done the second part. Next takes you to the next part of actually developing this item, and because you have not finished part B, can't do that yet. So you actually have to go to part B. First thing I'm going to do before I go to part B is I'm going to save it. You want to make sure it's updated correctly and it says item saved successfully. If you hit the save button and it doesn't say item saved successfully, that means that you're missing a part. You may have missed to put where to put the points, you may have not put enough answer choices, or you may have not selected the correct answer. So I'm going to go to part B next. Once I go to part B, same procedure here. In this particular case, I'm going to put select shape. That is a quadrilateral. Oop, I could learn how to spell there. Once again, I'm going to put 0.5. I'm going to list my answer choices. I'm going to put A, B, C, D, vertical alignment here. I'm going to put rectangle, circle, triangle, and let's say octagon. I have to select the correct answer, which is going to be rectangle. I review my stuff here. Everything looks good. I'm going to hit save. Item saved successfully means I got everything right. You'll see both part A and part B have a checkbox. There's a total of 1 point, 0.5 on this one, 0.5. So if your student did get this second part incorrect, they would still get 1 point on this multi-part question, which is kind of nice for the student if they've gotten part of it right and they didn't get the other part. So now I can hit the next button. Once I hit the next button, you're going to see the screens are going to look very similar to previous videos that you may have watched, or if this is your first video, this will be new to you. But if I look at grade 3, this is a geometry question. And we're going to understand different categories of, yep, that's the one we want. Hit next. This is going to take you to the options. Now, this option screen, this shows you, excuse me, this shows you the options for this particular item. This, if you've created an item bank assessment before, you're going to say, well, I need to do this one, the one screen. This screen is just for this particular item, not the overall assessment. So you want to make sure you publish this item to your assessment, and then you can do these options later for the overall assessment. So I can scroll down and I can look at Bloom's taxonomy and depth of knowledge. So if you want to, you're certainly able to do that if you want to hit that Bloom's taxonomy, understand level of 2 recall. I'm sorry, depth of knowledge level 1 recall. And then once you're done with that, you can hit next. And you get a preview of what your item looks like. Part A, Part B. 0.5 and 0.5 for a total of 1. Here's your properties over here. Gives you the item type. It gives you, we talked about the pilot, gives you the grade level, math, how it can be administered, and it can give you whether it was partial credit was awarded for this one, depth of knowledge, and so forth. Once I've done that, I'm going to publish and exit. I'm going to publish in my workspace. I'm going to publish the item. Once the item is published, I'm back to my assessment screen. I can go to items and you should see your item within your assessment. So let's take a look and see if it all worked out for us. And if you look, that's one of what we created before. I created that in another video, and there is our recent one we just created, and it's now in your assessment. That's it for the multi-part question and item where it's published to your item bank, and I hope you found this video helpful.